Check. Alright. I should be good now. Yeah, I gotta post it so I can find the video. Just gonna reshare this stream for a second. Check, check. Alright, now I found the stream. Make sure the audio is working. Check. Shows.
Check, check.
Oh,
All right.
yep,
Now
that's
I found
working.
the stream. Make sure the audio is working.
Bit of a delay there. Whatever. As long as it's working, that is good enough for me. See if I can find it on YouTube now. There it is.
Bit of a delay there. Whatever. As long as it's working.
Okay, turn the volume off. That is good to go. So, on top of everything, I'm trying out a new setup here. Moved my camera to over there to try to get some better lighting. The lighting is better, but it's a little bit more consistent, except the reflection on the wall back there. But I like it better. I'm not so sure about this LUT that I'm using, but it works, at least for now. In the meantime, I figure we can just go ahead and get straight to it and just take a look at this mix I did a little while back, and see if we can make it better. So, in the meantime, I need to check out what I'm doing for routing here, because I don't do things like, well, I suppose it's not that different from... I don't do things like this anymore. So I'm going to have to figure out what exactly I'm working with here. Let's hide that for now. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and delete everything. No input. No output. Find all the plugins, get rid of them. We're starting from scratch. Automation, that's fine. I don't want it. Don't want it. Still don't want it. Still don't want it. Oh, nope, there's one. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of my buses, because I don't want any of the automation on them. Oh, wait, that's not a bus. I want to completely start from scratch. I don't want to have to worry about any stuff like this getting in the way. Oh, I forgot to change the camera. That is my bad. Okay. That should be good. Let me check the stuff like this. We should be good now. Alrighty. So let me see what we got here for kicks. That's not what I want to do. I want to set it to kick left. Snares. We're going to send to snare left. Toms. I'm just sending to toms. Do I only have 2? Alright, well, we're just sending those to toms then. Hi-hat, why are you yellow? You need to be green, otherwise you're going to throw me off. We are missing some tracks here. Let's see if I can find them. There they are. Alright, cymbal room, overheads. That's what I want. That's not what I want. In fact, I'm just going to leave it there for now. Room stereo. I didn't make a setup for what I want to do for 2 rooms. So what I'm going to do is just send that to... Did I not make a room bus in preparation for this? I guess I did not. Alright, so this is going to empty 1. And these room monos are going to empty 2. Those are just my spare places to send things in case I didn't think of where I want to do it, or if something like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to import the buses from my current mixing session that I've been loving. And I did not want to reveal the name of it there, but if anyone saw it, secret's out. Alright, so bus. Kick, snare. Toms. You know what? I think I want to bring in my overhead as well and my room, but I'm going to bring in my cymbals as well. Crash. All right. These. All right. Well, first off, I don't want this. That needs to go. And that needs to go. I did, however, want that so I could bring my settings over here, because I tend to keep my overheads the same way. I just do the fine tuning a little bit differently now. So I just want to bring those over there. Okay, make these gold, or yellow, I should say. rooms, I want to do the same thing. Let me get these out of the way first. Snare left, snare or kick left. Awesome, got that already set up. Toms, cool. Cymbals, I'm skipping the overheads for that, or rooms for that. I guess I could lump my ride and hi-hat in there as well. Doesn't bother me. I'll figure that out later, but I do want to mute those for now. In fact, I'm going to move this over here. And not directly on just the cymbal track. And do I have a room bus yet? I do not. Alright, so I'm gonna one stereo, one mono. Solo safe them, make them yellow so I know what I'm looking at. Dante, you are crushing my mobility here. Alright, so room S for stereo and room M for mono. Send those both to the drum bus. Where did I put that? And I was using empty 1 here and empty 2 here. Where's empty 2? Spacing here. 2L. Let me fix that over here. All right, so let's take a look here. We got everything going to the drum bus. That's right here. Let me make sure that's the right track. Okay, sweet. The crush bus. This, I think I renamed. Yeah, drum distortion. Go ahead and rename that now. Drum verb. Snare verb, that's already set. Tom verb. Make sure I change that right away so I don't forget. That is no longer that. That is drum dist. Cool. Values are still the same there. Alright, we got the snare verb. That's done. Drum wet. That I did change as well. So let me go ahead and grab these. All my effects tracks and send those to drum wet. Alright, with that said, we got the main drum bus here. You know, in fact, I'm going to move this down here so I don't get too confused. And this bus, and these are going to mix bus, which is not where I want them to go. These are going to my Instamix. Alright. Now let's get my buses down here set up. Oh, that's not what I want. That should be all I need there. There we go. All right, we got our effects here. I'm going to leave these set up the same so when I bring in my vocal chain, I don't get too confused. But I'm going to change this one right away. So I renamed this to Instrument Mix, and it's going out to the mix bus, which is there. You're going out to the mix bus as well, but you are coming in from the vocal mix. MISC. And it appears I did not create a vocal wet bus. So let me do that quick. All right, Dante, I need you to move, buddy. I know this part's all the fun stuff of mixing, right? Just sitting here and doing the routing. I'm in the middle of changing things up about how I go about things, so I'm like, this is more than very new to me. This is fresh out of the oven. I'm kind of figuring this out as I go here. I've never tried using this yet. I mean, I created this, but I've never mixed it this way before, and it's interesting. Well, hopefully it's interesting. All right, vocal wet and mix bus. Where was I? Things are so moved around here. I'm so confused. Okay. Those all go to vocal wet. Mix bus. And then the outputs. Okay. Should be good here to start getting a general plan. I want to turn these off for now. Okay, I guess I have to make you inactive. As well as get rid of all of this. Turn my compressor on over here. Go scroll back to the drums. Turn off the drum wet. Definitely don't want to hear any of that right now. Turn these all off so I don't have to worry about them either. All right, kick. Let's see what we got here. Okay. First things first. I want to reset all these values. I don't want to work under pre-existing conditions. Minus some of these things that I'm just going to put there anyway, which is why I took the time to do what I just did. Okay, and with that said, the last thing I'm going to do here is go down and crank this output to 12. That way, when I go to... I have a real bad tendency of mixing really hot. So I crank my output to start out with. So when things sound normal to me, I can turn that back down and it's at a normal, reasonable level. Otherwise, things just get really out of hand later on. All right. Let's go ahead and start with the double kick part. I'm just going to loop it. And we're going to, hold on. Why is it all solo saved here? Okay. Why is this all solo saved? Jeez. What was I thinking with this mix? This is weird. Wouldn't do any of these kinds of moves. Now, anyway. Okay, that should be good enough for now. Finally, let's listen to something. Let's start with the kick in. And let's get rid of... Hold on. I gotta get rid of these groups down here. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm gonna be messing with. Okay, there we go. God, I got Dante's hair all up in my face right now. Ah. Okay, sorry about that. Again, now we can finally start listening to some audio. So what I'm going to do is turn that all the way down, turn my volume all the way up, because again, I like to mix hot, so if I mix with the way I like, with everything already at max volume, then when I turn it all back down to a normal level, boom, I don't have to worry about mixing too hot for the final thing when I throw in the rest of the elements. So I'm just going to adjust this here. All right. That sounds good as a starting point, I think. There's a lot of nasty sound in there with those clicks and pops. I'm not liking that. That can't be from the actual track. I recorded this on hardware that I don't have anymore, so I can't remember having any issues when I tracked this. Not related to that anyway. But it's not impossible. It also could be because I'm streaming right now. I don't know. I'll just have to work with what we got. So the first thing I want to do, I want to kind of shorten that a little bit. So I'm going to throw my gate on. And I'm going to take a listen here. Extend that hold all the way up. And what I'm doing there is I'm trying to solo out the middle section here. I'm not listening to the low end, I'm not listening to the high end, just listening to the mids here. And I'm trying to find out where a lot of the definition from the kick is going to come from. And I want to work with that area here. That way, when I work with just the low or just the high, I'll still have this definition here, and that's very important. It's keeping that mid definition and not letting it get too bogged up, especially right here in this 160 area, like from 100 to 300. That's just going to be a mess. So now I'm going to turn my hold back down, hit play again, adjust this little bar down here, until I just barely hear the kick coming in. I'll go a little lower. Sounds good to me. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mess with the hold until I can hear the full transient. And then I'm going to mess with the release to kind of blend it to where I want it. So I am cutting out a little bit of it so I can get a lot more punch per hit and leave a lot of room so there's more room for everything else to breathe, especially in the low end. And I don't remember what kind of bass track I'm working with, so that might be an unpleasant surprise when we get there. So I'm going to do this part now. Alright, I need to hear that in a slower section now. There we go, that's better. Okay, let's hear that with the fast section again. Yep, I like that. Alright, let's go ahead and listen to the high end. I'm gonna just start with the slower parts over here. Yeah, and you'll see I have a higher hold on the high than I do with the mid. That's just because I wasn't getting the full punch of it as low as there. The high end can be a little bit different like that, and with the release I go shorter because, especially with the kick is pretty much all mid and lows noise. The only thing you really want from the high end is that initial punch, and it kind of helps you hear it a little better. Other than that, I don't want the high end, so shorter release. Though the higher hold kind of counters that a little bit, but it gives me what I want. Let's check that in the high section. Cool. Let's go ahead and do the low now. Found the source of our problems. That's not annoying at all. Eek. That's not cool at all. Oh, that's right where I want it. I'm getting a lot the punch I want. Minus that annoying sound. That's going to drive me crazy. Yeah. You can really hear the difference now. It just feels like it's a lot punchier. So here's without the gate. All that ringing is just kind of making it a bit of a mess. So we take out a lot of that tail, and then here we go with a nice punchy kick. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this down to this kick out here. Solo that, and play with this bar until I get similar results. Nice. In fact, I might not use the kick sub. I might just use the kick out, but I'm going to do the same there. Maybe I will use the kick sub. That's got some nice boom to it. So these kicks are sampled, so I don't know why we're getting that noise. But then again, I did create these samples. So this is my kick. I got better versions of this now. But I'm starting to think that noise has got to be because I'm streaming. What do we got going on over here? All right, that's cool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to this section right here. Solo the kick in and listen to the kick out and try to balance this to where I like it, where they're both sitting nice. Okay, so I'm not liking the kick out at all right now. It's adding a little bit of pleasantness, but there's a lot of nast in there that I'm not liking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to throw on an EQ and get rid of what I don't want from this mic. And I'm not entirely sure what I want from this mic yet. I'm thinking that I might want a little bit of the low end to fill out what I've taken away from this top mic. But I also might want some more beef from the mid-range. So I'm going to go hunting for that. I'm going to want to go a little bit more drastic with this, so I'm going to go ahead and use actual cuts here. Actually, you know what? Before I even do that, I'm going to throw on an EQ for my kick in. And what I'm going to do, I want my SSL EQ. And I'm going to mess with this filter here to clean up a little bit more so I have a better picture of what I want from this mic. Okay, that's about as far as I want to go with that one. I did like some of the clarity when I had it closer to the 50 range, but it's not going to work for me, at least not right now. All right, so with that in mind, I'm going to go back over here and figure out what I'm not liking from this mic. It's boxy as hell immediately. Yeah, no, if that is blowing up anyone's speakers, I am very sorry. I have the auto gain on here, so whenever I make a move, it adjusts the output to stay the same. So when I cut out that much of the frequency spectrum, it's adding a lot of output to it. And when there's that much output all in the low end on a low end centric instrument, it kind of gets out of hand. I'm sorry about that. Let me just turn this down a little bit. Oh, all right. Whew. All right, I might not use this mic. I know after all this, but I'm not really finding anything I like about it. What I'm gonna do is turn this EQ all the way down. Oh, I didn't mess with that yet. What I'm also gonna do is get rid of that move, and I'm going to use my output of my EQ here to find out where I want this kick to go. And let's start with where I had my fader at. That's good for me. All right, now I'm going to adjust the output of this EQ to see if there's anything I like about it if I blend the two. Oh, I'm just going to hide and make this inactive. I'm not liking that mic. That said, I'm going to do similar EQ moves to this sub here because it's a sub mic. I want the sub frequencies. I don't really want any of the high-end frequencies. I'm getting plenty of punch from this top mic, so there's really no reason to even have it. So again, I'm just gonna come in here and filter away. In fact, no, I'm gonna leave that alone. Alright, I'm just gonna split the difference there, make that a straight 150. And again, turn that way down. See if we can find a spot where we like that. Try flipping the polarity and see if that does anything to the low end that I like. There's a lot more low end without flipping the polarity, but it is kind of mushy, whereas there is a bit more punch if I have the polarity flipped. So I'm leaning that way, but there's one more thing I want to try here. I'm definitely liking this a lot better than I was liking the kick out mic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select a giant section here. Actually, you know what? Make things a little bit easier on myself. Gonna select this over here. Oh, no, wait, I lied. This right here, because I want some fast notes. Let's go with that. That seems good. All right, so I'm gonna go in my audio suite. Sound field, is that? Yeah, in phase, waves, in phase stereo. I want a mono mix. And let's go ahead and capture it. Okay. So here, this is kind of displaying the phase information of the tracks themselves. This isn't taking the EQ into account. However, if we can get it in phase perfect here, it could very drastically change our EQ moves. Now it's saying it's just barely on the right side of phase right now. Like there's no significant difference of flipping the phase right now or not, is basically what this down here is saying. What you want is this entire side to be as filled as much as possible, not this side. So let's go ahead and zoom in here. Looks like they're pretty lined up. I'm going to move this one back a little. Oh, I saw a bump in. Oh. See, I definitely don't want this mic to be making noise before this one. All right, let's take a look at some of the filters we got over here. Hold up. Might be onto something here. Alright, so 116. Alright, I'm going to say 90 here. There seems to be a significant difference there. Now let's try flipping the phase, seeing what that sounds like. In fact, what I'm going to do is copy this over to this secondary option and revert this back like that. So let's listen to with just moving this a little bit. There is a little bit more low end. It's a very tiny difference. I have to stress that. It's the tiniest difference, but there is a little bit more low end going with this version. However, I'm not liking the way it's looking. It's making me nervous about some other issues that could potentially happen down the road with this slope starting downwards, whereas this goes up. So what I want to do, I'm going to copy this one to the other side, and I'm going to completely reset all this. This one is still sounding better to me. So before I even touch this, I want to try this. So this is getting closer to 100 now without moving the time placement for this. This version is still the winner to me. So I guess I'm just going to roll with it. I'm moving it forward in time. So what I'm going to do is here on the track, sound field, in phase live. Is that what I want? No, yeah, it was in phase live. There we go. And here it changes when you have it as a plugin rather than directly on the track. Here, the bottom one is a side chain, and you want to affect the main tracks. You want to affect the alpha track. So here we want to just copy these settings over here. So we are at 0.16. Flipping the phase, and a bump filter at 90. All right. So now what we're hearing is going to take place here. And I'm going to take another look at this EQ again. And get rid of this now. Okay. And because it was such a drastic EQ difference of cutting out this much, I did have to flip the phase yet again. So, I mean, technically I could just not flip the phase over here. In fact, let's do that. Why not? No, actually, I do want to do that just in case it messes anything up. Now let's find that volume one more time. That noise is really starting to get to me. I'm gonna have to figure that out. I would definitely be seeing something if it's on the track itself. Anyway, so now that I kind of figured out how I want these two tracks themselves blended, I'm gonna take a look at this over here. What do we got? What is this doing? This is just in case I need to flip it yet again. I'm just gonna make this inactive. Alright, and this I definitely need to pay attention to. I'm just gonna get rid of this. Create a new one. Well, where is it? There it is. So this is a really cool EQ. This will find the fundamental frequency of your drum, and it will let you make EQ moves to that frequency and all the multiples of it, so you can affect the octaves of that frequency. So if there's this one annoying sound, you could cut it on all frequencies, effectively eliminating that sound altogether, rather than just making one general EQ move, which might boost that sound somewhere else. Or you can just EQ it a lot quicker in general. But I use it a little bit differently. I kind of use this more of a map than an actual EQ. A map to EQ. I like to do my actual EQ moves with an SSL EQ because I just like the way those sound. But I like to use this to find my starting points. So first off, I want to find that fundamental. Oh, yeah, that's a pretty low kick. All right, so that's the fundamental. We're at 40.5 hertz. All right, so I'm going to find 40.5 here. I'm going to zero that out first. And what do you know? There's a 40.5. I can't just type in a number with this EQ, unfortunately. But I really like the sound of this SSL EQ over the Waves one. So let me get rid of that giant bump there. And now what I want to do is find any resonant frequency. So now I'm going to raise the EQ on this side. This one I like to do a couple EQs to find the frequency, because sometimes the low resonant can sound a bit different from the high, or a higher one. So I'll do both of them. It's pretty close to the octave, but that's where I'm not liking it. So that's where I'm going to go with. I might not even do any cuts involving that frequency. I'm sorry that I keep touching my face. I just, like, my cat really shed on me. All right. So now the high end of this is 5184. That is not going to work for me. So I'm going to make that my high mid, 51. I can only do a 10th, I believe. So I think I'm going to have to do 5.2. Yep, 5.2. That's going to be the closest there. And so since that's as high as this EQ is showing me, I'm just going to have to multiply this. So if I'm at there, then I'm going to want 10.26. I can't do that, can I? So I'm probably going to have to go for 10.3. All right, that works for me. And then the low mids that I'm not going to want, let's find. We have the options. Let's find out which one's the worst. That one's pretty gross. Let's go and listen to this one too, I guess. That 162 is really gross. So that's the one I'm going to go with over here. I cannot go with that one. So I'm going with the next one up because that one was also pretty gross. 324. Boom. That works. And it might even work better because here I can get a little bit more narrow of a cut so I can really zoom in on that if the SSL was too wide. So first thing I'm going to do is adjust the high end. Make sure all this is zeroed out so I'm not hearing anything ahead of time. Make sure that's not doing anything. All right. All right, now we're gonna adjust this 5.2, and I'm gonna start a little bit narrow and adjust that. This is really gonna bring out the attack of the kick drum. And I started out a little bit more narrow so I can widen it out later and kind of soften the, not really the harshness of it, but the extremity of it. Kind of like feathering it out a little bit. I like to, yeah, it just works out that way for me. All right, so now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and do my cut over here. And this I want to start off with the most narrow cube I can. And that's because SSL EQs are fairly wide on their own. Like a 3 for a Q is not very narrow in general. It's just as narrow as this one can get. So let's go ahead and completely duck that one. I'm going to go with 4.9. Going past 5 was seemingly too aggressive. I was trying to get a straight 5 because 4.9 just doesn't sound like enough to me. It sounds a lot closer than 5.1, but it doesn't sound like enough. So splitting the difference for that 0.1 actually seems like it would have made a decent enough difference, at least for me, for what I'm looking for. And another thing I can do is mess with the Q just a little bit to try to make up for that. And let's see what that does. Yeah, I'm only moving that Q 0.4. That seems fine to me. Again, it's not doing much. It's just kind of splitting the difference for me the best way I can make it work for me. All right, with that said and done, I'm going to go back to this EQ. I'm going to take a look at this 162 here because I wasn't liking that either. And that's the one I was finding the most offensive. And now I'm going to take a look at this 80, this 81, I should say, because the bass is going to take up a lot of this room. So if I can get away with turning this down, I'm going to. Otherwise, I will have other tricks for that later. Oh, no, I liked that. That brought back a lot of the punch for me. And then lastly, I want to take a look at this 648 because I typically cut a lot of 500 when messing with kicks. So I want to take a look at this here and see if we can get away with more of a drastic cut. That's also bringing back in a lot of that punch that I want. That's pretty aggressive. I'm going to turn that off and on to see if I actually like what it's doing. It might be affecting it too much. All right. So I'm actually only taking out a little bit of this one. And that's just kind of to get rid of some of that cloudy, fluffy sound that I'm not liking because I want the kick to be real aggressive. And speaking of that, final thing we got on this kick chain here is figuring out how much we want to go ahead and clip it. Okay, that did it. Now I'm going to use this trim knob because I had it all the way down. I'm going to turn it up till I'm back to where I want it. Cool. That works for me. All right, I want to take a look at my output down here and see if that's why I'm getting that nasty noise. It is not. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of speed run the snare here. I'm not really going to mix it. In fact, I'm going to get rid of this drum EQ. I'm going to gate it. And then set my levels. Then I'm going to just kind of speed run the drums now. And because I really do want to hear a little bit of a balance. So I can stop working in solo, because I do not like that. Oh, that's not what I wanted. All right, that sounds pretty good to me. So the difference between the kick and the snare here, actually the rest of the kit, the kick I triggered, but the rest of this is played live. The only reason you're not hearing a lot of bleed right now is because when I tracked this, I ended up playing the drums for this song. So what I did was I tracked all the cymbals first, then I went and tracked the snare and toms. I think I did those together. Yeah, I did snare and toms together. Then I did the kick, but my kick performance wasn't really good, so I tried getting away with just redoing some of the parts with triggers, using that same mic'd up setup, but I still wasn't liking it because I'm not a drummer. So what I did was I just decided, you know what? It's the kick. It's the least important part when it comes to realism. So I just completely MIDI'd it and used the samples from the kit that I mic'd up. But yeah, this snare is live. And because I did recorded it the way I did, I can get away with going a little bit more open with this gate than I could if I recorded everything all together, because the cymbal bleed, I would have to really cut this high end real tight to get really clamp down on those cymbals and get rid of them. But because I don't have cymbals in the way, I can let this ring out a little bit more. But still, I like the kick. A lot of the snare sound is right here in the low mids, so I don't really want all that high end. I just want the punch of it. In fact, I might not even want a lot of low end with this, because it is a pretty dark snare already. I'm trying to set the release to the tempo. All right, that sounds good to me. Let's take a listen to all that. And before. And after. I really love that gate. All right, so same thing with the kick. I'm going to, actually, I don't want to do that just yet. So I'm going to set the gate and just kind of move this bar here until I'm liking what I'm hearing. All right, that high end is very piercing, so I'm going to take a look at that and I might shorten it. All right, I'm going to take a look at that mid while we're at it. Yeah, I'm really got to shorten that up. Now, I'm going a little bit longer on the release. I definitely had to shorten up that hold. That was way too much noise in the attack of it. But I'm going a little bit longer on the release because I do want some of that rumble to kind of that snare little. You can hear the snares kind of resonating and rattling as it settles. I want some of that to be in there and kind of make sure it still retains the live sound. Okay, now I'm going to try and blend them. Okay. Ow. I did not mean to do that. If that hurt your ears, I am sorry. So I'm going to turn this down first. I should be able to blend this without having it be at the volume I want, because this snare is running pretty hot. I'm kind of liking that. I'm debating whether or not I want to pre-EQ them on their own. Nah, I'm gonna try to make it work with just the EQ here. I know I said I was gonna speed run, but I actually do want to take a little bit of time and try to get the EQ right on the snare. Then we'll speed run the rest of it. So with the snare, I like to set this, find the fundamental with this second frequency, because otherwise this high frequency just goes away and it goes off the screen and I can't see it. So we'll find it there. I'm having a hard time actually picking out which one it is, because that is kind of being a bit ringy. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a bump on this side as well. There it is. And that is how that is done. So let's go ahead and find the fundamental. I'm sorry, not the fundamental. The God, can't think right now. The resonance. So with the snare, it's usually around 700. So 650 here, that makes sense. Usually I find it a little bit higher on the 750 side. It's very rare that it actually goes lower than 700 for me. But whatever, it is what it is. So now I want to set my points 193 for the low end. Let's go ahead and bring up my BX console. What? Crap, what did I say? Forgot it already. 193. It's not going to want to give me that satisfaction. So I'm going to go with 195 then. It's the closest I can get there, unless I can. Come on, give me the. No, it's not giving me the option. Can I stretch this out to make that a little bit easier? I cannot. That is dumb. Give me the option to just type in the numbers. I love the way this one sounds, but man, that's rather annoying. All right, so high end is 12.4. 12.39, but I have to go in different increments, so 12.4. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Well, then 12.3 it is. All right, attack area. Let's find out which one of these we want to boost. I like these two a little bit more than I like this 15.48 or 1548. However, they're a bit too abrasive for me, so I'm gonna go with this 1548. So 1.5. And then what do we have here? Let's find out which. I already know it's going to be the 774. Come on. Come on. Inch it closer. All right, that's going to be as close as I can get. Jeez, I'm getting a lot of messages. What is it? Yes, I will invest in CTRM, but yeah, I have to wait because I will not be using Robinhood ever again. If you are watching, anyway. I will worry about that later. Anyway, so now I'm going to go ahead and same with the kick. I like to work on my high end first. Gotta say, I'm really liking the clear high end here. Those abrasive ones I might have to take a look at, but working with the high end is kind of nice there. All right, so let me take a look at this mid here. Sounds good right about there. Let's check this again. All right, that sounds good. All right, and I like to do the high end because I don't want to overdo the low end. So once I know where I want my high end sitting, then I can pretty much go ham on the low end. Except here I want to go with the bell. If I start with the low end, I'm going to end up adding too much or too little, and then I'm going to make my high adjustments and then find out that everything just becomes a wishy-washy mess. Typically, in general, I like to go from high to low. It's kind of backwards since I start with the kick drum and then go to the snare. But when I EQ, I like to do it that way. I like to balance in general that way. So, like, even if I would do all my mixing like this and get my general moves made in solo right here, at least for the kick and snare, just so I know I can build my mix around those two elements. I mean, that's typically how I like to do it. I might, at the end, after I build my balance, working around those, undo all my balance and start again with all my mixing moves made and starting from high to low. It depends on the mix, but that usually almost always guarantees me the best result. It just takes a bit more time, so it depends on how I'm feeling. And I'm not going to worry about those abrasive notes or frequencies until I hear it in the mix. If it's still popping out at me, then I'm going to go take a look at it because I don't want to take away too much. Otherwise, the snare will just disappear. All right, so now that I got my kick and snare, I'm going to play both of them and try to find a nice balance. I got too much bottom snare in there, and that is kind of killing it for me. I'm not liking the way the snare sits there, but I'm hoping that once I get all the elements back in, that will kind of disappear. So I skip toms until very last because I have a real hard time balancing them until everything else is the way I like it. So with that said, I'm going to quickly unmute all these, find out where I want my cymbals, and like I said, I recorded cymbals, kick, and then the shells separate. So I'm going to blend these until it feels like a natural played in one take room. Ow. That destroyed my ears. Okay, so that's going all the way down. Okay. Now, typically, I don't like kick in my overheads at all. In fact, I might just get rid of it later. But it does kind of keep it a little bit more natural. I'm good with that. All right, so let's quickly go through what I have here. So I'm going for like a 3 dB gain reduction for the cymbals and kind of like a 7 dB reduction when the snare hits, and that's sitting perfectly right where I want it. Then I like to throw in the Waves MV2. Now, I would use the Slate Shimmer, I think is what it is. That was like one of the only things I liked about the Slate plugins, just to add in some thickness. But I don't have that, so I'm using the MV2 to kind of make up for that. And it works pretty well. A little bit more cloudy than the Slate plugin, but it's still really nice. It just kind of brings in the body of everything I want. We'll go ahead and do some tone shaping with a little bit of distortion here. Adds a little bit of harmonic content so the cymbals will cut through. I'm going to mess with this high cut so things aren't too bitey. All right. That's it's kind of like a TS9 for pretty much anything, but with a lot more versatility. Can make anything sound nice with that. So here, I have a low cut in the mid channel just ready for me to go, so I can move that towards the kick. Because yes, I did bring it in here, but now I want to take it out. I want it in for the natural feel of it, so I can process it the way I would a normal kit. But I still want to cut that out. So let's go listening for that fundamental. And it's right at the 130 mark, which is great because that's where the bass is really going to sit. got the rumble taken care of, and now we got to take care of that piercing high end. And I need to find out what this is doing because it might be doing all the wrong things. I'm under the impression I put that there to take care of the snare. I gotta turn this down a little bit. That's killing my ears. Absolutely thrashing them. Okay, that's a lot better. I'm liking that. Let me do it before and after this. That really focuses in more on the cymbals, and that's what I want. I do want an overall picture of the kit there, but I really want the cymbals to shine out because I don't really have anywhere else for the cymbals to do their own thing with this track. And I'm going to be adding on even more stuff with the shells, like all the wet effects, so they're going to be even louder. But that said, I got to do one last step to take care of that piercing high end, and that is compress the high end. So when the cymbals get too loud in the high end, it turns that down and makes it more balanced. Cool. Now I'm going to find where I want that with the rest of the kit, with the kick and the snare, I should say, and balance that. And I'm going to use the output of this here. Things are sounding a bit weird. I'm going to try flipping the phase here and restarting that. Okay, no, it definitely needs to be flipped that way. That's what was wrong with it. I took out too much high end there and didn't let enough of it hit this compressor. I need to check the phase of the kick there. Something's not right. Okay, I think it just might have been the kick there. Okay, I got that set up. I definitely don't want to mess with that hi-hat track right now. I might end up messing with the ride. I'll know when we get there. But this high end is being a bit pokey, so I don't want to mess with anything until we get the rooms in there, get a general idea of how the... crap, I didn't mean to do that. How the picture is going to sit. One thing to note is that when working with stereo tracks like these rooms here, I like to work with my plugins in multi-mono. So each side is working as if it was in mono rather than working in stereo, where if one side is up but the other side is quiet and it lowering both of them, it does everything and kind of balances itself out a little bit better. I've just found that it works best for me. So again, now that we're onto the rooms, I'm going to do the same thing we did and get a general balance here. Cymbals first. And I got to remember to turn that down. In fact, I'm going to turn the cymbals over here down right away so I don't forget to do that later. Because I'm tired of my ears feeling destroyed. I want to go a little bit more shell heavy with this, especially because it's stereo. Cool. Now let's go ahead and get that same kind of ratio going. So I do like to darken the rooms a bit just to make things sit. I like to use the rooms as glue, basically. All right, and this I need to turn down. That was a bit too much. balancing it out there. Cool. Let's try to balance that in. Again, using the last plugin in the chain. That really tied the room together. But no, seriously though, love stereo rooms. They are like, you don't know what the drums are gonna sound like until you bring your rooms in. That really makes or breaks a drum sound. Before and after. Like, it kind of mellows out the cymbals and really brings out the snare to where you want it. Well, sort of. We'll get to that. And I'm going to apply pretty much the same processing to this mono version. Might make this mono one a little bit darker and a little bit dirtier. And I've got to remember to turn these off first, too, so I can get the right balance. Turn that down right away too. Cool. What is this track over here? It is nothing. Bye-bye. That was annoying me. All right. Let's go ahead. Get our compressor set up. Because I want this to be trashy, I'm not even looking here. I'm just staring somewhere else as I'm slowly raising the mouse until I find where it is that I think sounds the best. Because again, it's a mono room. It's made to be trashy. And it's not too far off from where the others are at too, so that's fine. All right, and again. Only letting in just enough high end to hear some definition. but I want this very dark. All right, turn the volume down on this one again. All right, like that. That was pretty fast. All right, and this, I'm probably going to really boost the drive on this. I like that. All right, that is a bit of buildup on the low end, so I'm going to throw another cut here. All right, now let's try to balance that one in. All right, so before. And after. Again, it just really glues the kit together. All right, so now what I'm going to do, I've got the general kind of setup for this. All right, I'm going to do a very, very quick tom setup. All right, I'm still good there. And let's go ahead and flip that because that sounded weird. Cool. Works for me. Cool. It would help if I panned these. No wonder it sounds weird. So I'm just going to go 50 and 50. Starting to sound like some beefy drums now. All right, now let's go ahead and I'm going to mute that. What do we got going on over here? What is this? Oh, man, no wonder I'm mixing things hotter than I want to be. I have this trim here almost completely undoing the boost I'm doing at the end. I was thinking things were starting to be a little... was seeing my peaks get a little bit too close to the top, and I'm just like, that's the whole reason I do my boost, and that's been in the back of my mind this whole time. Well, all right. Not really much I can do about it now, except just go with it and turn it down even more if I have to. But in the meantime, I do want to take a listen to my drum distortion. Alright, let's turn these drums back on and kind of balance that out. Actually, you know what? I'm actually going to use the fader for this. Alright, so before and after. Yeah, that adds a nice bit. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the drum reverb. This, I'm going to have to turn this off again and turn my distortion off so I can get a balance here. First thing I want to do is send my snare at the 0 level. So drum reverb 0. Let's see. Let's save that. Okay, let's bring that over to the kick. Turn the kick down and bring that up as needed. Okay, I don't want a lot of kick there because it could just end up being too much, especially when we get to that fast section. So let's go ahead. And unlike my distortion symbol or area, I'm not. Oh, I didn't even send my symbols to there. No wonder it sounded a little weird. All right. So drum dist. There we go. I want to take another listen to that now. Okay, but I don't want to send that to my drum reverb. So I'm going to rebalance this quick. Cool. That adds in a little bit more ambience to the shells. All right, now on single reverb, so I'm going to focus on the snare here. This one's going to really bring out the life of the snare. And this is kind of the final icing for that. Bam. Love it. All right, and we got one more to go through, and that is for the toms, which is a very similar reverb. I'm using verbiage for those. Just minor differences there. Except that one was louder. All right. So we got this here. I'm just going to hide and make this inactive. I don't want anything to do with that. And at this point, I'm going to turn down my fader here. And I want to see what we got going on for guitars. This is the lead. So I'm just going to send my output to my lead grouping, my bus, wherever it is. Where'd you go? Move things around. I can't find anything. You should not be that color. Used to be a little bit darker. That works for me. And you should be, you know, that's fine. You guys need to go to the rhythm bus. Okay, R1, D4, R1, 57. So I went with 2 mics on this cab apparently. I don't remember which amp I was using, but you know, hopefully we have some decent tones out of it still. Gonna go back into here now that we're done with the drums pretty much. Grab my rhythm, my rhythm bus and my lead bus. All right, bring this down here, mute that. And this, again, we want to send to the instrument bus. Which reminds me, did I do that to this? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Sweet. I was a little bit worried there for a second. All right, so let's take a... Why? Again, these are solo safe. They should not be that way. I really did something dumb there. Let me find a balance between one set of guitars with everything off first. See what we kind of got going on here. I'll take a listen to this D4 first. Okay, I'm muting that. And let's see what we got with this 57. This tone leaves a lot to be desired. If I had the DI with me right here, right now, I would probably... Doesn't look like I do. If I had the DI with me, I would just use an amp sim right now. That's bad. Let's go ahead and set up what we can. I'm going to assume they're in phase with each other, otherwise I probably wouldn't have double mic'd it. Okay. They need a little pre-EQ before I do this. This thing is definitely made to be a dark mic, a dark tone to blend. So let's find a dark tone. There's a little boop, 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 boop in there that I gotta get rid of. All right, that's a pretty drastic EQ. Let's see if we can make that work. In the meantime, let's go ahead and take a listen to our 57. I imagine that whoop whoop whoop's going to still be in there, so I'm going to just focus on these right now. Let's take a listen and see what we got here. Not too thrilled with this one. Gonna turn this mic down a bit. I'm just gonna say -5. And then let's adjust this one as necessary. I remember what happened now. My amp was broken. My amp was having problems, I should say, when I tracked this, and I was too determined to keep this one real and not fake. So I didn't use amp sims. Plus, at the time, there wasn't really any amp sims I really liked. So I'm probably not going to need this right now, but let's go ahead and take a look at what we got over here. So I got this one taming that real brittle and shrill high end, and this one taming some of that woofiness and that boxiness. Kind of tightens it out for me. Let's take a look and see what we got over here. I'm not liking any of that. Let me switch that over there. And I want to listen to that one in the mix. Let's go ahead and bring that in. And again, use this knob since it's the last plug-in in our chain. And unsolo that so we actually do hear it. All right, I'm still not liking the low end here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna throw on a stereo EQ, and that is going to be the UAD Pultec, and doing the 30 hertz trick. I'm still not satisfied with it, so I'm going to throw on a dual mono L1. There's nothing I'm going to do that's going to make this guitar tone something I actually like, though. All right, let's try bringing that in. I do need to turn this back up now because it's still not at the level I want it at. All right, that works for me. Now, I'm coming up on my time limit right now, but I do want to at least hear something of the bass. So I'm going to route these. Actually, I'm going to route all three of these to the bass bus. And I'm just going to do this one on my own. I'm not going to bother bringing in a template for that one. Bass. Bass L. And we're sending that to our instrument mix. Let's take a look and see what we got. Again with these stupid solo saved tracks. I apparently didn't understand solo save when I did this mix. All right, let me take a look and see what we got here. Solo that though. All right, I want to listen to the kick as I set this for the bass. Cool. That needs a lot of compression. Let's go ahead and bring in the distressor. I know I like a 6-to-1. Wow. Okay. Let's throw on some fattening. Let's go with max bass this time. Tighten that up a bit. And then slam it with L1. Cool. Now, let's take a listen to the other track. Here we are basically just going to get rid of that one. Play these together. Sweet. Starting to get aggressive. Set that to 4,000. Just for in general. All right, I'm liking that more around 8,000. That will probably change when I start listening to the guitars. In fact, before we even get too far into that, let's go ahead and throw on the Darkglass Ultra plugin. Turn this off, kind of set this to the guitar distortion. You know, I might not even split the bass because that's a pretty badass tone. Let's find out where we want the gain. I want all the gain. All right, let's make sure that these are in phase now. All right. Let's go ahead and throw a limiter here. And let's see if we can find a nice blend for that. All right. That definitely helped the guitars sit better for me. I'm gonna quickly I'm just gonna bring over the same setup I have here, kind of for the guitars. Actually, I'm just gonna set up this multi-band mainly because I need some control. I'm gonna turn these off, get a very quick balance, and then bring these in because I'm very much running out of time. I'm out of time. Ow. There is automation on there that I did not get rid of. That's not cool. But good, I see that I labeled these as sim, so I used an amp sim for these ones. I actually really like using amp sims for leads, even when I hated amp sims, just because it's a little bit more consistent there. For rhythms, I still prefer real amps, but I mean, I'll take what I can get. Excuse me. Okay, so these are left, right. So let's do that. Actually, I'm gonna, before I do that. Alright, I see what I did there. So these ones are not made to go full left, right. These ones, I'm going to go 75. And then down 15.5. Alright, got that general thing set. Let's listen to all of them. Actually, you know... Alright, I'm not going to use that right now. Let's take a listen to this limiter. Alright, let me take a look and see what I'm doing over here. Alright, that's too much, too much, too much. That's much better. All right, this is not going to be very even because I'm not single compressing these things right now, but I want a level. All right. Then real fast, we're going to throw on the acoustics because it's kind of important. Again, instrument bus. Set this to our acoustic bus. I'm really not going to do much with these. I'm just going to throw on a compressor. And then probably a limiter. Also multi-mono, though, because everything, multi-mono everything. I live by that. Again, these are solo saved. Why? Everything is solo saved. I just got to remember that. Ow. Okay, before I get to this, I need to single compress each of these. I like the CLA 3A for that. Typically, this seems to sound best when you go anywhere between 5 and 7 dB of gain reduction. Let's go ahead and mess with this high frequency and see where we like the roll off. That seems to keep it pretty natural sounding. So let's just copy that over there. And then this one is a very low lead input, so probably going to have to hit this one a lot harder. All right. I already hit this hard with that other compression, so I'm not hitting this one hard. In fact, yeah, that's all I'm going to do for this for right now, just because I want to get this done. All right, I got to find a stopping point today. All right, put this back down. Let's take a look, see what we got going on over here. Doing a little bit of some bumps, very tiny bumps. Kind of creating a slight smiley face there. Did I Oh, I see what I did. There we go. All right, turn on my hardware compressor, which I got over here. It's the Art Pro VLA 2. It's a cheap compressor, but it is amazing for bus compression. Way better than any plugin. Any plugin that I've used anyway. All right, I'm going to turn this off now, or bypass this. So here's without my hardware compressor. And then here's with. And that is a whopping 10 dBs of gain reduction. That sounds like a lot, but because it's a hardware and it's a very gentle compressor, it can handle that and kind of creates this real nice pumpy sound without being too overbearing. It's just something I really love. And then I do throw it into one other bus compressor here. And here I just kiss it with 2 dB at most. And then here we got a little something something for the kick drum. Here I use Ozone 9 for stuff like image widening. Here I actually don't want to make the low end all mono with this mix, so I'm gonna raise that up a bit. I set these individually per mix because frequency spectrum is different. So this isn't gonna sound right, but I need to get this done today. So here we go. And Pièce de la Résistance is the mix limit, the instrument mix limiter. All right, I'm gonna crank this up now, so I'm gonna set this to -3 actually. So I gotta turn my output volume down now. And then I throw it into one more limiter, and here I've got the Massey L2007 one. And this limiter I really only use to kiss the mix again, just to catch any last peaks that the other one might, and maybe do a little bit more limiting. Because when things are already only allowed to get this far, you're kind of compressing it a bit. So when you compress that little bit, you're compressing the different dynamics than you would be if you just compressed it all with one limiter. Build it up. Don't do it all at once. And that's just kind of a general mix bus set faux master that I would do. So let's go ahead and take a listen over here. Okay. It's not a bad starting point. I mean, it needs a lot of work, but I mean, it's a starting point that I would do. And, I really phoned in that last bit of it just to try to speed up so we can hear something to close it out. But yeah, that is going to be it for today. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll probably finish this on another stream, just because why not? But that'll be it. See you guys later.